Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Track D. Whilst every corporation perceives change as an opportunity or a threat, thus some choose to embark on the process. Only the rare ones know they actually have to start. Within the next 25 minutes, we'll be able to hear from Adriana Kovcin, HR business partner at Bosch, who's happy to share her thoughts, expertise, and popular practices with HR Week's participants. Adriana has a bachelor degree in communications and public relations, and she joined Bosch 2.5 years ago, where she firstly worked as an employer branding specialist. Adriana, the floor is yours, and we can't wait to hear what you have in store for us.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you, even though virtually. So I'm really happy to share my thoughts about this topic. Basically, when I was preparing for this case study together with my team, we were considering about change, and the question was not when to start, but why and where. So there is a great saying, all happy companies are alike, and each unhappy company is unhappy in its own way. I mean, this saying is exactly why you should start searching the change topic and why you should actually go deeper into the question. So thank you for introduction. Yes, I'm currently HR business partner, but my passion is employer branding together with corporate culture. And today I'll be sharing my learnings, my views, because this is something I really like to have the hands-on approach. When I attend these kind of conferences, I really value when I get the experience that I can use immediately afterwards, to have that spark, that idea that comes in my mind and pops up, and then, hey, maybe I can really implement this. So this is the idea. If you take at least one learning from today, from this case study, then I think my job is done here. So basically, what we are going to be talking about is employer branding and corporate culture. Those two things are, I would say, the same side. I mean, the different sides of the same coin. You cannot say that culture exists without employer branding or employer branding exists without culture. Why do we say that, and why it's important to consider both aspects when we are dealing with our company, with our image? Basically, whatever we are doing outside of the company, how people perceive us, and we can influence it in so many ways, on so many levels, won't mean anything if we don't have happy people inside. That's why I said in the saying in the beginning, you really need to have people on your side. You need to have those ambassadors, because those people are what's going to make the difference between your company and other companies. And employee branding is basically how people see us. You can use different channels to approach people. However, you're solely responsible for the people within the organization. You, as a person who's dealing, whether you're in HR, whether you're in marketing, whatever your position is, you are the one who's going to be the change agent, the first person who's going to influence this. And this is really the question that pops up all the time. How should we do it? If we are in the marketing, how we should influence people in the HR? If we are in the HR, how can we actually have the influence on the people on the other side? Basically, you need people who are approachable. You need people who are willing, who have this passion, this urge to make the difference, to make the things a little bit spicier, and who aren't afraid, basically, to have their say, because you will be influencing a lot, both people and the management. That is really inevitable, the party you need to influence, basically, the most. So what I like talking about is our values. When we say values, what we have in our mind are those posters that we have in our basically companies. Whenever you enter a company, you see great, posters on the wall that are saying we have vision, we see our company as a passion, entrepreneurship company, and so on. So a lot of companies are saying that. However, if they're living that values, is a completely different story. So culture is a property of a group whenever a group has enough common experience, a culture begins to form. What does it mean in reality? It means that whatever you say on those posters, whatever your values are, if they are not lived by people within the organization, basically you can take them down. So don't hang up something just because you want to influence people. This is not basically how it's done. It's done by influencing the management first, because the first agents, the first people who are going to be making the difference is actually management. So again, what is the connection between the culture and the employer branding? Well, I would say that it's a great connection, because whatever we put there on the walls has to be what is right for us and what we really can live, in our everyday lives. Meaning, for example, if you say that you're very passionate and that you really value quality, and a person comes to the interview and you really say that this is really important to you. However, when the person joins your company and sees that whenever you're passionate, you get slammed because this is just not the way we do things around here, then of course then you're going to be feeling very different, and then you cannot use your people as ambassadors, because the stories that you have are completely different. Inside and outside, those are completely two different things that you want to basically tell to people. So both marketing and HR can serve as change agents, and we need both parties. Sometimes in organization, those two things are combined, and you have people that are basically doing HR, as I did here in Bosch, HR and HR marketing together. However, sometimes we do have people that are in corporate communications or some other departments, but those people really need to put their hats together and work together on the topic. So it's not, my side of the story or your side of the story or who's the winner. Basically, the company needs to be the winner. You need to have this feeling of mutually working together to make the difference. So what I like here about this slide, even though it's very well known, but it's associated to what I just said, and to the people that are not really familiar with this, is that our culture is basically like an iceberg. What we see and what we don't see. What we see is the things that we promote. So this is what you see on your social media. This is what you see on the posters when you enter the company. These are the values that we are proud of. However, the culture is not really there. The culture is below the water. The things we don't see is really what makes the difference. And what you have to influence when you're working on the culture and all those projects with the change is actually what is below the surface. You really need to be working with the perception of people, to the values, to get into shared assumptions, to see what is the shared experience of those people, and how you can change it if needed. You need to search for basically that topic. So what is really important also for me is basically that we have to take into consideration that we have companies in different stages. So when we are talking about the change, it's not the same if you're talking about a company that is very young, startup company, because that company is basically influenced by the leaders, and the reflection of the leaders, the values of that person is most probably going to be seen as something you will be transmitting down to the organization. However, in a company that's mid or older, it's a completely different story, because you have basically professionals, management professionals that are second, third, fourth generation of management in the company, and then you lose this trait, you lose this core. Sometimes you even lose the values, you forget what they are, so you have to reinvent them again. So sometimes I'm saying that it's not the same if you're comparing a company of 2,000 employees or if you're comparing to the company which has only like 200 employees. It's a completely different approach. However, the logic remains the same. in some aspects, it's going to be much easier to influence people, maybe to influence management. On the other, it might take a bit longer, but it is a project of patience. You really need to be patient, to take your time, and never forget, what is what is the core of the thing that you want to do, and this is to influence the management, basically, to do the change, because then that will help you transform the organization to the better. Okay, so basically, this was like a theoretical part, which is really needed. I know that in 25 minutes, really, we cannot go much deep into the topic, and we are just scratching the surface. But it gives you the perception of what is kind of needed in order to start. And I will give you some real examples of how we did it here in Bosch and how we started our corporate culture change project. Basically, for you to get these ideas and those sparks that can help you maybe move things within your organizations. So basically, like 2 years ago, we did a research. And even though some people are against the research when starting a change program and so on, I'm the person who is really for it because of a simple reason. When you have something that's written on the paper, usually you have the credibility of the data. They can really be taken to the management, if the management is still not at your side at that moment, to say, hey, this is how organization feels. This is what we need to do. And then you need to have at least an action plan that's going to help you move to the next step. So when we did this research, we realized that there are some things that we really have to take care of and that we need to start digging deeper into the topic. So we took what was at the moment most important to us and started working on that. So we organized workshops basically with the management, people who are, directly managing basically our employees. And together with them, we put our brains together and really really listened to what people had to say, what was behind the research, what was behind the data, and how we can put it into practice. So for us, that was really, really important. And those basically workshops took us, I believe, more than 6 months to organize because we had a lot of participants, we had a lot of topics to cover. And also in this respect, I was working together with my colleague Sanya on really a project that had the aim to put people together, which we called Coffee Talks. You will learn more about it afterwards. And out of those talks, we had really tons and dozens of projects that we had to work on. It's not easy with your everyday job to start working on the side projects. However, the importance was there. This is how our people were feeling. This is how our people wanted to be treated or what they thought was fair. It wasn't about changing their perspective. It was about changing how they feel within our company. And that was important to us because we knew at that point that how they feel and how they act in future will basically mean whether we will have a perception as a good employer or not. So as I said in the beginning, it's two different sides of the same coin. It's the same story. You just have to approach it in two different directions. Sometimes, as I said in the beginning, that can be the same person working, or maybe you have different people, but you need to put them together. And out of those workshops, we had a lot of ideas and a lot of projects that we started. And now I'll be talking just about these 4 and what it meant for us. So really, you can use this as an example of how you can implement it perhaps in your company. So one of the things we discovered within our research and later on with the workshops was that we grew very fast. Basically, we were a company that started a couple of years ago, and then we had a number of people working for us, and those people had a feeling like they're a family. They worked in a surrounding that was familiar. They worked with people and had fun on the job, and we started growing, and we grew rapidly, which is great. Everybody wants to grow in their company. However, what it meant for people was they felt insecure. So one day you were working with 5 colleagues. Today you have a team of 10. People don't know each other very well anymore. People don't go out any longer. And there was this feeling of new employees and old employees. And what we did was really, we wanted to integrate those people to make them feel again as they're at home. So we had a really project within project that were aimed to connect people, to share information about achievements, each business partner started working within the projects with their own teams in order to help the team feel better. And also we started having discussions with the management as how to help them in this respect. What can we do in order to help people, to train them, to make them feel more at home? So one of the things also that we did, learning that we had a lot of people who are just joining our company, was the onboarding process. So it's not the same if you have 1 or 2 people that are onboarding your company per week, let's say, or having 50 as we do. So it's completely different story. And you need to integrate those people kind of fast because you want to create, as I say, this family feeling. And it took us more than 3 months to do this onboarding process. There was a really process that was working for years, but it had to be redone. We had to rethink the whole process. So we even hired new people that are solely responsible for newcomers, for people who are just joining our company. So yeah, you see, even though it's very easy and it says, you start, and this is where you start. You start with a simple research with asking, what's needed? What do you need? How do you feel? With this personal approach, this is where we start with people. And out of that, you get really a lot of projects that you need to be working on, as now you're seeing here. So the next one was coffee talks. When we say coffee talks, usually what we mean is, you sit down, you relax, and you talk with the management, and this is how managers are promoted. However, in reality, this was something that was really initiated by our plant manager, who just got the role of the plant management. And that was the moment when I realized that we are going to be successful. In this very moment, from his side, when there was an initiative, a wish from a person to really start listening to people, listening to what they have to say, a manager who is approachable. In an organization as ours is, when you have like 2,000 people in a company, it's not very easy to be approachable, but we managed through basically opening up, giving time to people, giving them possibility to speak up, to speak their minds. And what was very important out of those coffee talks, we learned a lot of things from people, how they feel, how they're treated, how they would like to be treated, what was fair, what was unfair, and so on. So you can imagine when you open up, to the basically the whole company, what comes, on your table. However, it was really a moment of truth for us, because this is where we discovered that we can influence in a positive way people, but it meant also that we had to be working on those projects. For example, a colleague had the idea of parking one of the trucks, so not to get deep into the topic, but to park it so that it would be easier for them to go to lunch and so on. So that was their proposal. And you would think, okay, that's not really important. Yes, it was important for that colleague, because that meant saving time for the person. And we realized that, if we show goodwill, that we want to be working on that, then it really means that they will have faith in you. So you cannot be just listening to people and believing like everything is fine, we will do, nodding your head. You really have to put your hands into the good stuff, and really to help them, to show them the goodwill, to show them that you want to make the difference, you want to make the change. And this process is also, I like to say, and people who work with me know that I always say this is a lobbying process. You really have to go to different levels, to different management levels, different people in the company, to connect them together, to ask for things, and never to lose faith. This is something you really have to consider when you engage yourself in this project. And then last but not least, and this is just what I decided to show you, was the Leadership Academy. Leadership Academy meant, if you remember, for just a couple of minutes ago, I said that we had a lot of people who joined our company. And basically, you grow people on every level. You grow the management levels also in the company. When you grow management levels, that means that you need to grow people in these positions. It's not the same if you were working in a production and then all of a sudden you become a leader. You might have been a great worker, but that doesn't mean that you're a great leader, as the saying goes, right? So we realized that we needed to be working on building the capabilities, building the competences of the people on our shop floor. And then together with a team of training, we really put our heads together and came up with this Leadership Academy with the aim to influence and to get those people the needed knowledge, the needed competences in order to be better in their roles. And this really proved us to be a correct decision, because in this way we are showing to people that also they can count on basically succession planning in their organization. So that when you are a worker, afterwards there will be a position above that and position above that and so on. So, and you will be trained for that. It will not be just given to you, like take it and then I have no idea what to do with that. So basically, this is just a short summary of how we did it, just to give you those, as I said, sparks, to make your ideas, come to the surface. And I would say that whenever we do something like this, whenever we are influencing culture, we are going to be influencing our employer brand as well, because you will have people who are satisfied or dissatisfied. As I said in the beginning, you will really see that people are unhappy in different ways. But basically, when people are happy, they're just coming and saying, I really like working for this company. I want to work for this company. This is what we are aiming for. And this is the best ambassador that you can have. Does it mean that everyone will be happy, that everyone will be satisfied? No, of course not. There is no utopic company that where everything is fine. But if you show interest, if you show to people that you care, I think that in this case, you can really count on having a successful company that's going to, the results will be seen also in business. So this is everything that I have prepared for you today. I want to thank you for listening and to ask you if there are any questions.
I will just check with the production, but I think there's no questions. I would also like to say thank you for participating in HR Week, and thank you for actually partnering up with us at HR Week, especially to your company Bosch. We feel that this is a very big privilege, and we thank you a lot. This was a very insightful speech. I really enjoyed it. I think that you raised some important topics and questions, and we'll see what are the results from the HR industry. Thank you again, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you for the time. Bye.
Bye.